So we're gonna have a little bonus match. It'll be through a replay, but so this is I queued up for another league, and it ended up getting paired against Storm. So I wanted to include this since it's part of the reason I'm playing the deck. You know, I wanted to see if there was a deck that had a decent matchup against Storm and Death Shadow specifically. So we end up mulliganing. You know, and we don't know, obviously don't know we're playing against Storm. So we end up mulliganing. This is our hand after we've drawn our card. We did scry to the bottom, and we still, I believe we scryed a Misfind click down. And then we just draw another land. So we're flooding bad. This isn't a great 6, but you're not going to toss us back in the dark either. So this is where we end up. The second he casts Sleight of Hand, we know he's on Storm. So we just show him the Bitter Blossom and hold up push, and then we just try to get on the board after we kill the first goblin. So he, you know, has another guy, ends up ritualing Manamorphose with a mana floating, cast Gifts. So his pile, it went by really quick, but his pile was ritual Gifts, and as well as a Manamorphose and a Past in Flames. So normally we never want to have the Manamorphose. However, he only has 1 mana up, and I'm trying to set up a situation where I can at least untap, you know, maybe draw a discard spell or, you know, like a Logic Knot or something to be able to fight and try to stay alive another turn. However, he has another ritual in hand, he has another 2 rituals in hand and fires off of those as well as the Manamorphose and to the Gifts, and we're just going to be dead, so we end up conceding. So we board the Counter Squall in as well as the 3 surgical extractions. And this hand is, besides having an untapped land on turn 1, this hand has everything we need. So since he doesn't have a guy, we end up deciding to cast Bitter Blossom on 2, because I don't feel like we're going to get killed on turn 2 with nothing going from him. So he ends up playing a Electromancer, and we get to Collective Brutality to get everything, which is great for us. And then moving forward, so he brawls and Merchant Scrolls. So when we cast this, his hand was just a bunch of gifts, and we saw this Merchant Scroll. So it was 2 gifts and a Merchant Scroll were the things of note, and he had the Baral, but we had that covered already with the push. So the way that, like, I didn't want to take the Merchant Scroll because I'm hoping that this exact series of events happens where he plays Baral, casts Merchant Scroll. I assume the only thing he can get is gifts, and that's correct. And then we get to go after his hand. Like, he has a Past in Flames, which we make cost more, as well as we have, you know, we could possibly go after the Past in Flames, but he's got 1 empty, and we get to see this 1 empty because he doesn't scoop. Like, he scoops to the surgical on his gifts, but he lets us start resolving it, so we get to see his deck, and we know that there's only 1 empty. And that's pretty important, especially moving into game 3. So game 3, you know, we just run it back, and we have a surgical and we have push. I do keep this hand because I feel like we have a ways to kind of survive, especially since we have the surgical to kind of buy us some time. So we keep drawing Cryptic Commands, and we don't have ways to make these Glens come into play untapped. So he shows us gifts, and then when we get to this point, so he gifts, shows us the normal the ritual plus Past in Flames pile, and so here's where I set up where, you know, normally when we get the ritual Past in Flames Manamorphose, this is the selection we're going to take. Like, we're going to bin the Manamorphose and the Past in Flames. And where his mana's sitting, I let him cast the first ritual, And then when he cast the second ritual, is when I decided to go after the Past in Flames. The only concern here is that he could have empty, which would be a problem. However, he only has 1 copy, so we just gotta make him have it. And he doesn't. So here, having the Collective Brutality and some Cryptic Commands, I feel okay. I don't even want to counter that Electromancer. I decided to just bounce the Brawl instead. And then he ends up stopping us from countering a spell. And then here we just go after his Electromancer in his hand. We take the ritual that he has, and with just Brawl in hand, even though we don't have anything going on. Like, we have some creature lands, and we don't even cast the Bitter Blossom, which we plan on casting this turn. He concedes. So post-board, Surgical Extraction just makes this matchup with our already existing Disruption pretty trivial. There's only 3 copies, but if we see them, we win. And it's not like we're stone dead at this deck anyway. Like, we have enough interaction. One thing going forward is I might not want 4 Cryptic Commands, but that's a question for another day. Thanks for tuning into the bonus match, and have a good week.